Remember what we're doing here. Remember who you are. Remember how you speak. Remember the majesty of your presence and the power of your word. Remember the majesty of your presence and the power of your word. And don't give that away. This is the Miracle Zone.
I ask, I see, I know, I trust, I be.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Miracle Zone podcast, where business leadership and frequency align. And today I'm really excited to dive into the topic of power. If you happen to be watching this on YouTube, you'll see I have my rose drum with me today. It really wanted to be here and present. So I knew something related to power really wanted to come through and connected to this spiritual warrior, sacred warrior energy. And so when I tuned in, what was coming through to me as really, really important in this time is to take a moment to really look at the different ways that we are giving away our power in our business and in how we lead. And so today I want to share with you 3 ways that I see that happening that are pretty common, and invite you to take a moment to pause and see if any of these resonates with you and could be an area of further exploration as you deepen into expanding your capacity to be in your power and to hold power and to be power and to wield power and to embody power in your business and in how you're leading. So I'm going to jump right in with the first one. So this is something that was coming up for a couple of my clients recently, and I started seeing a bit of a pattern. And this is related to our offers and how we structure them. And so I want to take you back to when I was starting my business over 10 years ago. And I remember I was working with a really amazing coach who was super helpful, helped me in so many ways, and she's amazing. And she had a particular model that she taught, pathway for launching your business. And a lot of it was centered around starting with a smaller offer and then over time inviting people into more and more work with you, which is a great model. And I was getting a little frustrated because I created my small little offer and I was doing all the things to put it out there and sell it. And I knew it was amazing and it would transform people's lives. And even though it was a tiny little nugget of what I knew I was capable of supporting people with, but it was crickets. No one was buying it, even though it was very accessible to people, even though it was an easy yes, even though it was obvious I could get them the transformation. There was nobody buying it. And I think it was $97 or something. It was really supposed to be like a little bite-sized micro offer that people could easily say yes to. And so while I was working with this coach, I decided to also start working with somebody specifically focusing on sales, to work with a sales expert. And was one of the leading names in the space around helping coaches and other people in this wellness space to launch their businesses and to get really good at sales. And so I thought that's a really important skill set. And so I really stretched myself and spent money I did not have to work with this sales coach. And I was having a session with her and I was talking with her about, I don't understand what's happening. And this thing I'm trying to sell, this offer, and it's amazing. And the copy is good and everything is good. There's no reason that people aren't buying it. And she was getting curious about what was working or not working. And she was asking me, she's like, well, have you sold anything else? And I said, yes, I have a few clients that I've sold 6-month coaching packages. And she was like, okay. And so I told her a little bit more about that because the coaching certification that I did encouraged you to create a coaching program or a coaching package and sell 6 months at a time. And so that's what I was doing before I started working with the business coach. And then she started laughing and she said, "Why are you trying to sell something for $97 when you're selling something for so much more and a deeper transformation for somebody already for 6 months?" And I said, well, the idea is, I think in principle, is to get more people in and more people in the space and more people having a taste for what it's like to work with me. And then eventually I'll be able to sell more of these 6 month packages. And bless her soul, she was like, you understand, you're already selling a higher price point thing. Your 6 month package is your mini bite size offer. That's where you're beginning. And so you're already doing that. And so what you're meant to create and sell your next offer is something even more than that, even deeper, even a higher price point, even more. And if you want to keep working one on one, which I did at the time. And I had a moment where I had to laugh at myself because I was like, this is so ridiculous. I'm beating myself up for not being able to sell this tiny little thing for $97. Meanwhile, I'm selling these coaching packages for a couple $1,000, no problem, right out the gate, and already getting really good results and already getting referrals. But I was trying to fit myself into this other approach, marketing approach or model, which was working for almost everybody else in the business coaching program I was in, was selling their $97 offers, getting great results. And yes, other clients were coming in and they were able to sell more afterwards. And I was one of the only ones that was like, I don't understand. But that moment, I want to share because it was so pivotal to me. And I was having this conversation with one of my clients recently, is sometimes we think we should start with something, and then there's going to be some sort of linear progression to something else, or there's a marketing strategy that makes a lot of sense and works for a lot of people. And we might try it and then we'll beat ourselves up because it's not working or we make ourselves wrong in some reason. And we don't realize that many times when we're trying on different templates or approaches or step-by-step things that other people are offering us, we're in a sense giving away our power, thinking that maybe they know better than us. And it's not to say they don't, and there's so much value in that. But I think the important part is just always to have that internal discernment and trust that there could be something shared with me that isn't for me, and that's okay. And for me, something else feels true and aligned, and that doesn't make it wrong. And also to not make things that are failures, and I say that in quotes, actual failures, because they could just be pointing us in a totally different direction. And so that moment for me was super clarifying because I realized, oh, the 6 months is my smallest offer. And to be honest, I don't really love 6 months. 9 months feels better. And at that moment, I decided to change my 6 month coaching that I was doing into 9 month coaching. And for many years, when clients work with me privately, it's a 9 month space that we work through together. And it just felt right. It was just nine. I just knew it was nine and it was nine. And sometimes they extend more and it's taken different shapes and forms, but it has never gone smaller. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? And once I realized that, and I realized, oh, okay, if this is the smaller offering, what does it mean to go bigger? What does it mean if I want to serve even more deeply or even more broadly or in a more elevated way? And that created space for setting up my business management agency that includes some management support as well. And so those are even bigger clients, bigger contracts. It's on a retainer basis. And I even have offers that are over 100K, right? And so that $97 offer was like a crumb that made no sense for what I was here to deliver. And just that repositioning helped me really see, oh, okay, this is my starting point, and to have a lot more opening to, okay, what's possible, or how am I here to serve in a bigger way? And got rid of those shoulds. And I was really able to feel, okay, what just feels true? If this is the transformation that I am supporting somebody with, what is the time that feels correct for it? What is the investment that feels aligned for it? And to operate from that space instead of getting overly in my head, even though I love strategy and I support others with strategy, getting over in my head, over strategizing and looking outside for different models. So that's the first area I want to just touch on is in your offers and anything new that you're being propelled to create right now. And I know energetically right now, there is a lot of energy of initiating new things or pivoting, right? And we want to allow that to carry us and to move us. But we want to make sure that it's coming from this really solid place of being in our power and feeling into, okay, what is it? And moving with that instead of looking externally at necessarily what others are doing or what others are saying or what the linear approach is to get where we want to get. So to give ourselves permission to also just feel into what is true and what wants to emerge from me. Okay. So the second area that I've noticed a lot of power giving away is in the language that we use. So I'm going to give you an example. Typically, how this shows up is I'll be on a call with somebody and we'll be talking about their business or an upcoming launch or something like that. And they start speaking in industry speak about conversions, about launches and funnels and this, that, and the other. And it just sounds like a lot of marketing speak. And what happens in my body is I start feeling the gray mother energy boiling within me, being like, stop using other people's words from all of the webinars and courses and things that you've learned to think about your people and think about your mission and think about your work. And remember that these aren't sales calls, even though they are. These are conversations. That these aren't prospects, but these are actual people. And for the type of work that you do, in many instances, they're soul family or people you've made contracts with to come together and experience some sort of shift or transformation or something together, or elevation, or support them in some way, or to hold space for them to transform in some way. And so it's really easy to get caught in using other people's language and to remember the power of words and the power of frequency. How would you feel if people are out there talking about you as a prospect, about converting you, about handling your objections? It doesn't feel good, right? It's just a different frequency. And so even though in our minds we know that, yes, there's business strategy, and again, I love strategy so much, but it's really easy to dehumanize and to start using industry speak when our work and the frequency of our work is really different. And to lose some of the care and to lose some of the heart in the words that we're speaking. And that then translates into what we're doing in our business and all of the planning. And then we're saying these things and our team is saying these things and we're talking to our coach about these things. And maybe we're talking to our therapist about these things, right? And so to just reclaim the power of your words that you're using and make sure that they are, in fact, your words. Because when they're not, the great mother gets pissed. It feels like it really does. This energy just is boiling up, and it's you've been brainwashed. No, it's like an energy of wanting to reach out and like shake you awake. Hello, remember what we're doing here. Remember who you are. Remember how you speak. Remember the majesty of your presence and the power of your word. Remember the majesty of your presence and the power of your word. And don't give that away, even if it's behind closed doors and conversations you're having on Slack with your team or on a Zoom call or in a Voxer group or something, right? Just remembering that power of the word. All right, the third area that I want to talk about is having an impact-oriented vision. And this is the second area in my Miracle Business Blueprint, which you can download. It's down in the links. And what I mean by an impact-oriented vision is oftentimes we get really caught up in, and this is understandable because we are running a business, in the numbers and the finances and in the money and in the profit. And I love that. There's nothing wrong with that. And we forget to orient more around the impact. And so what do I mean by impact? I see two axes that we can work on when we're talking about impact. There's the depth, and then there's also the reach, right? So when thinking about reach, sometimes we keep ourselves a bit smaller and reach fewer people than we can actually reach when we are orienting more around impact. So how can I get my offers out there in front of more people? And a common way that I see this, and I talk about this all the time, is we have a little bit of pride around, ooh, I have a really lean team or I have really lean operations. And we don't realize, and a lot of times in the excavation and healing work that I do with a lot of leaders, we don't realize that's us subconsciously keeping ourselves smaller, because we know that when we have a team and a broader foundation, then we can serve more people because we have more capacity and we have an amplification of the bandwidth and what we can do, right? And so one is, how are we still thinking too small, right? When we're thinking from a business perspective and a profit perspective, it's really different than thinking from a perspective of, I'm here in these times with a very unique mission and purpose and message that I'm here to deliver, and movement that I'm here to start. And it's big. And I'm going to allow it to be big. And what will serve that? That's a very different conversation than thinking about, how can I bring in more money and more revenue streams? Again, nothing wrong with those conversations, but it still keeps us thinking in this little box as opposed to the grander context of why we are here in these times and the role that we can play. So that's along the axis of reach and impact. And then there's also the axis of depth. So what that looks like often is us delivering this sounds bad, okay? But us delivering the lowest common denominator of what we are capable of delivering, right? We see that we do a little bit, and this was also coming up for clients as well. The surprise, oh, I just offered a really simple thing and people are having these huge results. Or in my entry level 101 course that I'm doing, people are having huge results. And it's a little shocking because it's like, I didn't actually do that much and people are getting huge results. And sometimes that could be a little disconcerting because we're like, okay, what is this telling me? Is this telling me that I don't need to do that much and it comes easily to me and I can make a big impact that way? And that could be the case, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or is there secretly a part in us that's, wow, I do not that much and people get this much result, what would be possible if I did more? Not in terms of the busyness and doing more, but allowed myself to be more deeply in my potency, delivering even more of the depth of my medicine, of my message, of the capacity of what I'm here to deliver. What if I really gave it all? What would happen? And there's a part of us that's, I don't even know, would it blow people away? I remember one of my clients, the energy work that she did was so powerful that it took people days and days to integrate it. So we would have these conversations is how can we create a container for you to deliver this type of result and transformation for people in a way that's safe for them and that supports the integration rather than staying in a place of, wow, they're going to be incapacitated for days and I don't think I can go there, which is also very fair and considerate. So for all the healers in particular out there that are a little mind blown when a transmission that you do or an activation that you do has such a big impact that it leaves you a little bit shocked and also cautious, understandably, because you are wanting to be a responsible custodian of these gifts and this medicine and respect with reverence for the source that you're co-creating with. And sometimes it's a little shocking and it's like, that's powerful. This is powerful. I don't know what to do with it. How do I not overdo it? And so I'm going to pause there and just leave you with these 3 ways to really sit with as you're being invited to initiate something new, as you're being invited to maybe pivot or bring in more impact into the work that you're doing. Is there one of these 3 areas where you feel when I'm talking about them, they're like, oh yes, I do that. I think I'm giving my power away in that way. And spending some time really sitting with that exploration to see how you can unhook or untangle whatever it is that is keeping you in that place. Whether it's the offers or the work, or it's still in a box in somebody else's box and it's not exactly what it could be or as big enough as it could be, and it's a smaller investment than it could be, and it's a smaller impact than it could be. Or maybe it's the words that you're using and how you're thinking about it and the energy that you're actually bringing to the whole business and to the different things that you're doing. Or maybe it's just about that broader impact. It's, can I let the power of this work really shine through in terms of reach, in terms of depth, in terms of me being a solid, clear vessel for it? All right, my loves, thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time on the Miracle Zone podcast. Bye now. Thank you for tuning in to the Miracle Zone. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a transmission. And if today's episode and conversation resonated, leave a review and share it with a fellow visionary leader. In the links, you can access my free Miracle Business Blueprint, the 7-part framework I use with my clients to create a thriving, scalable, and self-sustaining business that gives you more freedom, not less. Plus, you'll receive a guided process to identify where to focus first so you can spend more time leading in your miracle zone right away. Let's build the new as a collective for the collective. Together, we're not just creating miracles, we're living them. Until next time, stay in the miracle zone.